Welcome to the Daughter Dearest podcast with Simone and Olivia Canego, making the world a better place one conversation at a time. Mom Simone and daughter Olivia share authentic discussions about everything under the sun, including those things you might be thinking about but feel uncomfortable talking about. Thanks for tuning in. Now here are your hosts, Simone and Olivia.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Daughter Dearest podcast. I'm Simone Canego.
And I'm Olivia Canego.
And she's a very sleepy Olivia Canego because she got very delayed coming back from California. And but I woke her up 9 minutes before we recorded. So she's like good to go. She's like well rested.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I also have to go babysit after this. So I do need to be awake.
Okay. Yeah, you look very tired. Anyways, so today we are going to be talking about stress and ways to manage stress. Now, I want to say from the beginning, we are not doctors. We don't even play them on TV. So
yeah,
this is
does that make us more or less credible, though?
That's a very good question, actually.
True.
We'll ask your father. But really, we want to talk about our experiences and what we do when things get really stressful, or how we get to the point where we don't allow things to get really stressful. It's a combo deal.
Yeah, for sure. I think that learning how to manage stress is like not an overnight gained skill. It's something that you work towards your entire life. And yeah, like as you said, it's a mixture of coping in the moment versus making sure that moment never actually comes.
What's the biggest thing that you do to try to prevent that moment from actually happening?
Organization. I think a lot of my stress is time related or time influencing some other factor. I have a hard time picturing that I can do more than one thing in a day, honestly, which is ridiculous. But like, I think that timing wise, it'll take me like going somewhere. I need 2 hours beforehand and 2 hours after. And then the event is like, even if it's an hour long in my head, it's going to last 5 hours.
Huh. Interesting.
So
okay.
I definitely have to like plan out timing wise and organization, like list wise of what I need to get done.
Yeah. I think for me, it's something, it's similar. It's my stress usually involves, well, a lot of things because I have 6 children, but on a daily basis, it is not giving myself enough time to get something done. Like, okay, I have a doctor's appointment and I have to be there at 11. And then at 10:40, I'm still trying to finish up this email. And so then I'm jumping in the car and then I'm angry at myself because I know I'm going to be late. And then I have to like apologize for being late. And why don't I just stop, do a hard stop and say, oh my gosh, you could actually be there a couple minutes early instead of stressing myself out saying, oh, now they're not going to see me because I'm going to be late. And honestly, that's really never happened to me. I've never been like significantly late.
Yeah.
But it's all in my mind. Like I get myself so worked up over it. And I could just take a step back and say, okay, do the email later or organize that into your schedule and then just make it on time or make it there a few minutes early so it doesn't become so stressful. So that's what I really try to do. It doesn't always happen though.
Yeah. I feel like I am incredibly early to things because you guys weren't growing up.
Oh, I think that was a stabber.
Not like in a bad way, but it's like I even hate it now. Like when my friends like cause me to be late to something, like they're still getting ready because I get ready really early for events because I like being early. Or like not having to stress about being on time.
Yeah, I really think it has to do with the stress of it. I never want to be anywhere early because like then I'm just waiting, right? But it's the stress of being late that kind of motivates me to want to be there a little bit early just so that I'm not stressed.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a big cycle.
Completely agree with that. I mean, as a mom, what other stresses do you experience that you think are controllable at least?
Ooh, that are controllable. I think really a lot of them have to do with time management and organization. And same thing like with the kids, like looking at the younger kids' schedules and making sure that I have all of that on my calendar. I'm a big calendar fan. I know I've said it before, But if it's not
So
on
am
my
I.
calendar, it doesn't happen. And maybe what I should do is like schedule it for like 5 minutes before. So then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm early. But I typically don't do that. But yeah, I
Well,
think my daily stressors are really have to do with time management and taking on too much. Like, this is another big thing, actually, creating the space to be able to say no to things,
okay.
right? I think sometimes I say yes too much. I'm trying to be better about saying no, like, come to this event or do this. And I'm not talking about like for speaking gigs, I'm talking about just in general, like, and then I get overextended, right? Like, I had something last night, which I had a great time. I have something again tonight, which I'm sure I'll have a great time, but it's a lot for me during the week. And typically I don't like doing things at night during the week because I should be home. I still have kids at home, right? But
Yeah.
I, I'm trying to be a little bit more flexible with my schedule, but it really is the ability to, when I'm not passionate about something or when I don't feel like this is exactly what I want to do, it's that ability to say no. And I think that's a struggle for people in general, but I think women especially
Hmm.
have a hard time saying no. Do you feel that?
Yeah. I think I agree to things just because I physically can do them.
Hmm.
Like I can physically be in the room rather than a want or like an actual ability. I mean, even right now, like I'm exhausted right now and I'm still gonna go babysit till 8 p.m.
Yeah, but you're making money, girl.
Yeah, I know, but like that's still overcommitting yourself.
Yeah, it is. It is. And
Granted, I didn't know I would be delayed till 2 in the morning, so
yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, it's hard not to overcommit. And then there's also this factor of that, that you're gonna miss something, right? So if you don't go to this
yeah.
event, you could, what do they say? FOMO, which whatever. I don't even know if people still say FOMO,
I
but
think FOMO is still really relevant. And I
okay.
think everyone experiences it without even knowing, like, I guess what it is. I mean, what it is at heart isn't FOMO, or I guess it kind of is, but it's just like fear of missing out. Like, whether
Of
that be a fun social opportunity or like with you and you think one work conference is gonna have a legendary effect, and not to say that it wouldn't,
you
but
just
like
never know,
you just
right?
never know.
So then you're like, oh my gosh, I should go because what if I am introduced to this person and this person is the person that then introduces me to this person? Like there's this whole
Yeah, but then you're
circle.
still basing your life on what ifs, and that's
Yeah,
exhausting.
it is exhausting. So typically what I do these days is I really focus on the okay, do I want to be here instead of like I feel like I have to be here
I
and I
think
have to
that's
make
really
choices.
important.
Yeah. I
I think a
mean,
lot of people agree to things without thinking what they want.
oh, we talk about this all the time. Like, what do you want? And I would say that so many people don't know what they want. And some people feel like they have to push what they want aside because they're people pleasing or they feel this obligation. But even in my new book, it's one of my big pillars is ask yourself what you want. Like, we don't do that enough. We ask everybody else, what do you want? The only thing we really
Yeah.
ask ourselves is, what do you want for dinner? Like, not like, do you really want to go to this? Do you really want to be here? Do you really want to be in this job? Like, these are all things
Yeah.
that we
I
need
think
to be
that
asking ourselves.
a lot of the times we take opportunities without really giving ourselves the chance to acknowledge if the opportunities are even right for us.
Yeah, we just think that, oh, we have to take this thing in the moment.
Yeah.
And
It's hard. It's hard because, like you said, what if?
yeah, and what if, about the what ifs, you would never know, right? So you didn't
Yeah.
show up to that thing and you would still never know if that would have been an opportunity for you. Because even if this person was there that could have changed your life, you still might not have met them or it never, might not have worked out. So I need to start reminding myself of the what ifs, like let go of the what ifs.
For sure. I think that in the end, that's all they are.
Yeah.
Educated guesses at a best.
So let's talk about strategies that you have to manage stress when you get into a situation where you haven't, done the time management properly or that you For me, like when I'm running late to something, what do? I'm like yelling at myself in the car. I mean, that's not an effective strategy. So what's an effective strategy that works for you when you become really stressed, like you haven't caught it before it happens?
Like task mitigation usually, or like prioritizing prioritizing items that I know that will get rid of the stress. And then like it's such a funny concept that I always play with in my head is like you can't stress about things you can't control, and you shouldn't
Mm.
stress about things that you can control, because then you should go and control them.
It's such a great way of saying it, but the first part is absolutely correct. I mean, you why are we stressing about things that we can't control, right? We can't do
Yeah, I
anything about
completely
it. So
agree.
we got to let it go. I actually remember my mom saying something to me one time. She's like, I don't know how you can't be so stressed right now. Like all of these negative things are happening. I'm like, they're completely out of my control. Like I can't fix them if I wanted to. I can really only stress about the
Yeah,
things that I can control. Um, and so then that goes back to controlling things a little bit more. And I'm not saying controlling in a negative way, but being prepared enough that you don't even get to that section of, stress
yeah.
where you have to totally
And
manage it.
I think a lot of people with anxiety deal with it that way, because it just kind of is easier to prevent before it actually like gets to that level.
Yeah. Uh, so what are some of the other things that you do that help you? Let's forget about prioritization and organization. Like if you know you have stuff coming up and you feel like that stress building, what can you do to make yourself feel better?
I journal a lot to like rationalize my thinking. Um, because a lot of times just like saying it out loud, you realize how silly it is. So you're able to adjust your thinking that way, and just like talking it out with people as well. I do a lot of talking out loud
Yeah.
just to rationalize my thoughts. And I also think just like leaning on your people
Yeah, I think
and
that definitely
letting them
definitely
know.
helps. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm really stressed about this, so I need you to give me some grace or and I think that's another thing that we don't do enough of is that asking for help, right? We
Yeah,
tend to take it all on ourselves and we have the support system around us, whether it's family, friends, whatever, and when we don't let them in, then it's hard for them to know what we're going through.
exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. Um, your village can't help you if they don't know. So,
Yeah. It's it's so true. I was asking my mom about how she dealt with stress. So she has severe anxiety. Did we talk about this last time?
not the way she dealt with it.
Okay.
Like, definitely feel like
So,
talks about your mom a little bit.
yeah, so when she went to medical school in 1961, obviously it was not an easy time to be a woman in medical school. That there were 120 people in her class, five of them were women.
Yeah.
And so I asked her how she dealt with stress. Obviously, she was very prepared. I mean, she worked really hard and, but she also had like three jobs while she was in medical school. So, she had a lot on her plate. And she said that she used to tell herself a poem.
Well, we
Uh,
did talk about
yeah.
this.
So she used to build herself up by talking to herself. So, I guess maybe it's in the family, but I think it's a really important thing. So she would tell herself a poem that would basically be like, why am I here? Why was I created? And really the response is like we're all unique, we're all created to do amazing things, and she just needed that verbal reminder so that she could move forward. And I think each of us does it in different ways. I i mean, I talk to myself all the time. I try to talk positively to myself all the time now instead of letting that negative voice creep in. But it really is about building ourselves up when things get really difficult and when things get really stressful.
Yeah, I'm also often only the one person that knows exactly what I want to hear or what will be helpful for me to hear.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought too, right? That okay, this is what I need right now, and unless we express that to other people, then it's hard to for them to know what to say or what to do. Even if
Yeah,
people are
exactly.
trying to be helpful, sometimes it doesn't work out that way because you're like, okay, that's not what I needed. This is what I needed. And
yeah. And I mean, you can't hold someone else at fault for that, for not
no,
knowing your needs.
yeah, I mean, if they're trying, they're trying. So I want to talk about my freaky Florida.
Please.
And I found this one to be a fun one because it's something that we talk about a lot in Florida is that we have a lot of banned books, right? Like our governor has banned books because I guess people aren't capable of deciding themselves what they can read or what they can't. But
Amen.
amen. But whatever. Like I will say and believe what I want to believe when it comes to this. But here was the headline I found, which came out today. Steve Martin. Do you know Steve Martin, the actor?
Yes.
Okay. Steve
Surprisingly.
Martin. Yeah, look at you. Good job. So Steve Martin trolls Florida school district for banning his book. They'll have to buy a copy. So, Collier County, Florida. Comedian Steve Martin trolled one Florida public school district after catching wind that it removed his book from library shelves. Martin wrote a sarcastic dig towards Collier County Public Schools this week for removing his novel Shop Girl from school libraries. In an Instagram post Monday, Martin wrote, "So proud to have my book Shop Girl be banned in Collier County, Florida. Now people who want to read it will have to buy a copy." Martin published the work in 2000, which went on to become a New York Times bestseller and was adapted into a movie starring the actor and comedian in 2005. Amazon.com described the novella as a story about Mirabelle, a young woman, beautiful in a wallflowerish kind of way, who works behind the glove counter at Neiman Marcus selling things that nobody buys anymore. The description added, Mirabelle catches the attention of Ray Porter, a wealthy businessman almost twice her age. As they tentatively embark on a relationship, they both struggle to decipher the language of love, with consequences that are both comic and heartbreaking. So Martin's book was one of 313 books removed from libraries in the school district to comply with Florida law prohibiting titles that contain sexual conduct. Sexual conduct.
What? What? That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So, and here's more. Top officials at a Florida school district ordered the removal of all books and material containing LGBTQ plus characters and themes from classrooms and campus libraries, saying that was needed to conform to a state law backed by Governor Ron DeSantis that critics have dubbed "Don't Say Gay." Okay, so I mean, I could read. There's a lot more to this, but like,
Of course.
hello, what?
That's a really funny response, actually.
Yeah, buy my book. Now you have to buy it. And actually, there was a book called what was it called? Mouse, and it was a graphic novel that had to do with the Holocaust. And actually, my kids go to private school, so they read banned books. And as soon as they banned that book, it went crazy. It like shot up on the lists again. He sold so many copies. So it seems like every time they ban a book that they sell more copies. So
yeah, banning books is so dumb. Especially it's like, okay, within the schools, bro, information and material is so readily available. Like you should pay for your books. You don't even have to pay for your books anymore. You can legally download them.
So here's the thing that I have a hard time with, and I know we're like going on a tangent. We should probably just do a whole episode about this, but
yeah,
I mean, parents who want books to be banned, like, do they not let their kids on anything related to the internet? Because I think that's way more dangerous than reading a book. I don't think reading a book is ever dangerous, but I just think that have they thought this through?
I don't think so. I don't think people like my 2 cents on that is, well, like banning books is just obviously the worst. Like, so silly. It's just ridiculous behavior, and it's completely, in my opinion, unconstitutional. However, back to your question about the parents, no, bro. I don't think they understand how bad social media is. And like, if you did, then and you're banning books but letting your child go on TikTok, like that is actually psychopathic behavior, because your kid is going to be exposed to a lot more mature things You know what? I take back putting mature in quotes. So I would say mature things on the internet than they would be in like Harry Potter or whatever, one of the banned books that they did. I know they banned Harry Potter for a while for witchcraft.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
so again, I don't make the laws. I just like to talk about them. And
Yeah, I was
this
gonna be
is
like, you don't
one,
enforce them either. So
no. And this was one when I saw Steve Martin say, "Thank you so much for banning my book. Now people will have to buy it." So,
yeah,
and I'm
legal
sure people will.
response.
I'm sure people will. I'm sure people are like, you know
Yeah,
what? I
it's
haven't read
good.
that one. I want to read it. So
I know. I was surprised that it was like an actual book.
it was,
I think
a
that was
book that was made into a movie too. Like,
like it wasn't just like my life story.
yeah, yeah. So
Impressive.
yeah. Anyways, so that's my Freaky Florida for the week because that one made me giggle a little bit, thinking like, okay, good job, Steve Martin. People go
Yeah.
out and buy that book. Okay, back to our stress. All right, so okay, I can see right now that you are doing something that helps you cope with stress. So
I am
literally,
untangling yarn currently. Well,
so
honestly, I'm so tired that it's keeping me awake.
okay, because I'm like, here we are podcasting, and I'm like, she's doing something with yarn. She's crocheting. She's okay.
And
So
I'm
you're
able to have
untangling.
a good conversation while I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
It's
You're
a
welcome very
crippling
much.
ADHD. I
Well,
also find multitasking to be an efficient and necessary part of my life, but
it,
not like multitasking where it's beneficial for me. Multitasking meaning like I have to watch if I'm gonna work on a math problem, I'm gonna watch a YouTube video while I do it.
not about the math problem,
Not
just
about the
YouTube.
math problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like I'm out here saving the world, like studying for my law exams while performing open heart surgery. No. And good for you if you are, but that's not me.
Yeah. But I do think like if we talk about like your crocheting that
Oh, so stress relieving. But honestly, I make it stressful. But because I do it too much and then I waste my time on it. Um,
and then you get
that's
behind on
one of the
something else
whole
and then you stress out.
yeah, it's one of the whole reasons I started doing it was A, I wanted a hobby, and B, everyone was like, this is the least stressful hobby that you can pick up. And I was like, perfect. I find it like you if I had general stress, like I can't pinpoint if it's out of my control, it's kind of like an outlet. Like it's somewhere to read or direct it rather than at myself.
Are you big on physical activity to manage stress?
I I don't know. Well, I guess. Yeah. Like I do yoga and I definitely feel better after I do it, I will say. I'll have bad days and I'll not want to go. But then after I go, I'll be like, "Oh, I definitely needed that today."
Yeah, I used to do boxing and that for me was like a really big stress reliever, being able to, hit mitts or hit the bag. Like it really, I mean, I would never hit a person, but I mean, not on purpose, but I would, but that
I
was
like how you have
really,
to add that
yeah,
bit in
because I was
there.
like,
Okay, mom.
well, it's like, well, I mean, if I'm hitting mitts and then I slip and I hit the person, like, I'm just being real. But
You're covering your bases.
mm, so that was really effective for me. Regular stuff, like, I don't know, I need to maybe start practicing yoga and see how I do with that. But weightlifting, it doesn't really do it for me in terms of stress relief.
Yeah, it never
And
did for me as well.
and then I hurt my back this week too. I've never hurt myself. I'm 51 years old. I've never hurt my back before. I've hurt
I'm
myself
supposed
plenty
to
of
be
times.
like, you've never hurt yourself? Do we need to go over your horseback riding injuries or like did you forget?
Okay, no, yeah, because I had so many head injuries that I don't remember. But no, I
Yeah, what
do
the fuck?
remember. I do remember my injuries. My I've never hurt my back before. I was like,
I'm
oh,
so sorry, mom.
I know.
It's
I've got like
it's part of
lidocaine
getting old.
patches on. Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Thank you for rubbing that in. I know. Just you wait. Just you
No, I
wait.
definitely have already tweaked my back at one point, so don't worry.
Okay. I feel better now.
Yeah,
So, I mean, other things are like obviously self-care is so important. So, you know,
agreed. I
uh
definitely feel like a way that I also help my stress is making my bed and cleaning my
hmm,
room because I feel incredibly unproductive in a messy environment. And this is so opposite from what I was in high school, right, Mom?
Yeah, I know. I was like,
In
why
high
doesn't I?
school, I was a slob and I will die on the hill of I do not know what happened. But I guess having to like share a room that's like no bigger than a closet with someone else really teaches you how important having a clean room is.
Well, what's funny is that when you come home, you're still a mess.
Yeah, I don't know where it goes when I'm at home. I
Yeah, by the wayside, that's where it goes. Like, I'm like,
yeah.
oh my God, I can't even walk in your room. But when I come to your place, like it's completely clean.
Yeah, and if my room's not clean, I'll be like very upset. Like after having a long, hard day, if after experiencing any sort of stress, if my room is messy, it's just gonna make it worse.
Yeah. And there is that I think there's a book called Make Your Bed, and it is I'm not going to do a call out because I don't remember exactly the title, but it's the thing that says if you don't do anything else in the day, make your bed because you accomplished something, right? You got
Yeah. So the way I feel like successful and then therefore stress free in my day is if I accomplish something.
mm,
And I don't mean like writing a novel or anything like that, because that's a huge accomplishment. I mean like, okay, well, you made yourself breakfast today rather than not eating. Like that's pretty good. Or like you made your bed after like not making it for a couple days, or you vacuumed your floors. Like that's good.
you got to celebrate the little things, right?
100%.
If we don't celebrate the
Honestly,
little
yeah,
things, we
because the
don't
little
get to the
things are
big things.
hard.
Yeah, they are hard.
I
I
hate
mean,
vacuuming.
I'm the worst. I actually like vacuuming. I'm the worst at making my bed, though.
Do
I
you
don't
not,
know
why don't
why.
you like doing it? Or do you not care?
Well,
Do you spend time in your bedroom?
no. So once I'm out of there, I'm out of there, and that's probably part of it. But
Yeah, like
also,
I spend all day every day. Not all day every day. I'm not like a recluse, guys. That's the right word. Yeah.
yeah, recluse. Yeah. No, I think part of it is that like we have a blanket and a comforter. And then every night, by the time we wake up, I have the blanket and your dad has the comforter. So it's like if I make it, I've got to tear the whole bed apart. And it'd probably take me a whole 32 seconds, but it's some like
Yeah.
mental block, like, why bother? It's just going to go back that way again, which is not the right attitude to have because I could have that about everything and never accomplish anything, right?
Yeah. Like, why do I have to dust then, Mom?
Because it makes you unhealthy if you have dust around
Okay.
and you're breathing it in. I don't think not making my
Okay.
bed makes me unhealthy. I mean, I wash my sheets every week, so
Oh, I'm actually looking at my windowsill. Ooh, I should dust soon.
yeah, you should. See, that's important. That'll
It's
make you
coming
feel
back,
better. Well,
probably.
well, dust comes back. I mean, you can't dust once and then it's gone forever. Hello.
Well, no, I'm saying, well, I wish. I'm saying it's like coming back, like I'm realizing it
Oh,
because I'm back
okay.
after
Okay.
not being here.
You're thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, are you a procrastinator?
fuck yeah. Well, not as much anymore.
Yeah, that was
I
it. That
used
was
to
a good
be
answer.
so intently in high school, like writing essays the period before they were due. And I did not like, I get so much stress that I can't do it. What do I procrastinate? Not much. Assignments that I don't care about.
Yeah,
But
I
even
don't feel,
then,
excuse
unless I
you.
have an extension, I'm not procrastinating it.
Yeah. I don't like to procrastinate at all. Like I really like to get things done and that has served me well, but the more I have on my plate, then and I don't want to say it's procrastinate, but I think I prioritize so that I put things to the side, right? Like I always make a list. Sometimes I lose the list. I think right now my list is lost, but that's okay. I'll find it again.
I think it's funny that you do a paper list that's just like free floating around the house. I don't know how that keeps you anything, but continue.
Because it's so important for me to check the items off the list. Like that
But like,
feels like
why don't you get like a
accomplishment.
little notebook?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I have tons of little notebooks. I forget which one it was. Like I write in all kinds of different
Yeah,
notebooks.
that I completely agree with.
And my lists are always on pink paper, right? So my pink paper, I know that's a list, right? I don't do lists on white paper. So when it comes to the to-do list, the to-do list is always on pink paper. Life hack. That's why I can always find it somewhere. Like when I see the pink, I'm like, oh, there's my list. Instead of being like, oh, that's one of the 16 articles I was writing, and there they are. So, but for me, the to-do list really helps me, and I put like And then I can prioritize because I check things off the list and then I'm like, okay, that one doesn't need done right away. I can deal with that tomorrow. I mean, that's what tomorrow is for, is to finish the rest of the stuff I couldn't do today. And that's my
Yeah.
attitude now with a lot of the stuff, that I don't put so much pressure on myself to get every single thing done, because I know it's just not physically
Yeah.
possible. And you got to take care of yourself. I mean, that self-care piece is so important, to say, I
Well,
can't just do everything in one day. Let me take a little bit of time for myself, whatever it is, whether it's taking a walk, listening to music, just sitting on the couch, drinking a glass of wine, something that you're doing for yourself every day to, and that helps with stress relief as well. Just
I
really,
also think putting like realistic expectations on what you can get done. And I was talking to my psychiatrist, talking about increasing my ADHD medication recently, because I was like, well, I can't work past 6:30 p.m. He was like, okay, what time do you start working in the morning? I was like, well, I usually wake up around 7:45. So the latest I'm on my laptop is like 9. So he's like, okay, so you can't do more than 8 hours of work a day. And I was like, oh, well, like when you say it like that, yeah, you're right. I can't do more than a normal 8 hours of work a day.
so
We're
he's
not
saying like,
superheroes.
yeah, so he's saying like, you're already doing enough, like let it
Yeah, like
go.
you're doing what a normal person can do. Like
Yeah.
you can't compare yourself to your peers like that, because that's just how burnout happens. It's not achievable.
Yeah. It's absolutely it's absolutely not achievable. So, some of the things that I've done that I think have helped me, I stopped drinking caffeine a few years ago now. Now I'll still drink like a decaf or a decaf espresso, which will have like a tiny little bit of caffeine. I don't even drink caffeinated teas. Like, I totally got rid of
Girl,
that
I
because
wish I was on your wavelength, but I'm too young in life to do that.
yeah, well, so for years I didn't drink caffeine, and then in my 30s and
Oh, I
30s to
didn't know that.
yeah, no,
That
I
you
never
can drink
drank
it growing
caffeine.
up.
No, I was a milk drinker. My sister was a Coke drinker. I know, sorry. I know.
Or a
I would
milk
never drink.
drinker? Wait,
Yeah.
you just said your sister was a Coke drinker, normal. And then you compared yourself to that by saying you were a milk drinker?
Okay, well,
Bro.
I'm just saying that I never
Also, I've
drank
never seen you
caffeine.
drink milk. I've never
Oh,
seen you drink milk.
I wouldn't drink milk today.
What the
I
heck? How did that
Okay. This
happen?
is a whole nother
I'm
story.
sorry.
It's
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
This
This
is
will
a
be another, will be a
yeah.
behind the scenes episodes of me learning
Yes.
about my mom's milk problem.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah. So, I never had caffeine, not because they didn't let me. I just never liked sodas and stuff. So I never drank it. And then I was not a coffee person in school. We did have these tablets. What were they called? These caffeine tablets, to keep you awake for studying. We used to have those. I can't even remember what they were called. Not that I need to do a promo for them anyways, but
Yeah.
so yeah, so I was started drinking caffeine again. And one day I literally got so upset. I could feel my heart racing. And I actually fired someone. I was like so frustrated. And instead of like having a calm conversation, which is typically how I would do things, I just was like, "Ah!" and just like unleashed and fired this person. And I really feel like I behaved that way because had so much caffeine
Yeah.
pulsing through my body that I just couldn't control myself. And so,
Great monster.
yeah. And so I don't drink caffeine anymore. And I do think that really helps. Now, part of me not drinking caffeine is because of my insomnia and thinking that that will make it worse. And so I'm happy not to be drinking it. But I do think it affects stress as well. Some people have to drink it all the time,
100%.
but it makes your heart race. It makes your
Well,
heart
that's for
elevated.
me. And I think anytime, for me, like my heart rate and being stressed is like the chicken and the egg. Like what came first there? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. When
Mm-hmm.
my heart rate is high, even if I don't know if I was stressed before, I'm stressed now because my heart rate is high. And that because my heart rate is high, I know I must be stressed.
But you're not going to get rid of caffeine.
I do. I've cut down severely on it, but like in the end of the day, I'm exhausted right now. And when I go and drop my kid off and then wait to pick her up, I am gonna get a sugar cookie latte or peppermint mocha.
Say it how it is, girl.
It's Christmas.
Yeah. Um, okay, before we go on to your piece, last thing I want to talk about was stress. I mean, because obviously stress affects every one of us. Actually, I want to talk about two things. One is letting go of toxic relationships. The other one we talked about last week, so I'm just going to mention it. The
Okay.
importance of having a pet. Like, I just feel like an
Ooh,
animal
I agree.
just,
They have emotional support animals for a
oh,
reason.
it just makes you feel good. And
It's
like,
like the ability to give someone a hug, and sometimes humans are too difficult to give a hug to. Your dog's never going to be too difficult to give a hug to.
yeah, it's just like this calming piece. Okay, so we did a whole episode on that a couple of weeks ago. So you guys can
Or
check out that
watch.
episode. And but let's talk about toxic relationships because I think that adds a lot to
Yup.
stress, right?
Yeah. Anytime that I've been in a negative friendship, it's gotten to the point that it's so stressful that it invades my dreams. And that's
Oh,
usually when I know that, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like the stress from everyday life should not be affecting the way I sleep. And the minute it affects the way I sleep, I have to deal with it.
well, I don't sleep, so it no matter what it
Okay.
affects my dreams, but I just feel like I have had many toxic relationships over my life starting with when I was a teenager with a boyfriend, but also as a full-fledged adult with friends that it's like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough, right?
Yeah, totally.
And it made me feel just horrible about myself, which that's not how I want to feel. And
Shouldn't
sometimes
have
I
to
think
walk
that,
on eggshells in a friendship. And I think like that is such an important thing to realize is that like friendships are not supposed to be uncomfortable. You're like, I mean, every once in a blue moon, but every conversation should not make you feel horrible afterwards.
yeah, they're supposed to be your support, just like your spouse, your partner, or whatever. They're all supposed to be like a support system for you. And
Yeah.
when those conversations just make you feel bad about yourself all the time, you got to let them go because it's stressful. And I know that moment of like breaking off some kind of relationship that's toxic is incredibly stressful, but in the long run, I think it, you know, makes you stronger and it makes you feel
100%.
better. It makes you feel better. Okay, that was the last thing. So, okay, did you research something for today?
I did very quickly in the fitting spirit of it now actually being fall. Well, not to say it wasn't fall before, it's November and it's the end of pumpkin season and rather the beginning of squash season though. So, but
Thank you for
Massachusetts,
that.
yeah, I'm just so everyone knows for the growing gardens, depending on the
Mm.
zone you're in. A Massachusetts man took the Connecticut River in a hollowed out giant pumpkin in an attempt to break a world record for paddling. The Connecticut River is huge.
I
So
did see that. Did he make it?
I will tell you that it was a 1,024 pound pumpkin into a makeshift boat within a distance. And so he paddled for more than 40 miles in an attempt to break the Guinness World Record for longest journey by pumpkin boat. And the record is currently held by a man who paddled 37.5 miles in his pumpkin boat in 2022. Uh, so he did it, but his Guinness World Record has yet to be certified. So they have to go through and did it. He
Oh, okay.
officially, or no, someone else. Wow. There's a lot of people trying to break this world record. That's kind of crazy.
Can you
Um,
imagine waking up and saying, "Today I'm gonna pumpkin ride in a pumpkin down a river."
I can't believe a pumpkin could hold you for more than like half a mile, much less 38.4 miles.
And it's got to be really
And
uncomfortable too.
apparently it goes for a cause. This is just to raise
Oh,
awareness
like,
for the
oh, that's
Connecticut River
amazing.
watershed because there's a lot of us that live in close proximity and it's an incredible resource that needs to be protected. That's crazy.
That's really cool. I did see a
Yeah.
picture of it. I didn't read the story. Now I got to go back and read the whole story because can you imagine paddling for 40 miles in a pumpkin? No. And again, I couldn't imagine waking up one morning and saying, "You know what? This is the Guinness,
Do you
record that I
think?
want to beat."
Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe like the one for like the biggest pumpkin, but like paddling the longest distance in a big pumpkin is like not something I would ever thought of.
But hey, creative, man, creative.
Yeah.
So,
Have your hobbies. Another important part of mitigating stress, having your hobbies.
yes, that is so
Don't make
true.
work your life. Don't make school just your life. Don't make your social life your only life too. Have something that's like in like that you can do by yourself.
Like crochet.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Or
right.
video.
Reading books is really
Yeah.
healthy and really good for you too. Like, really, it takes you somewhere else. So you can't focus on what you're stressed about, right? It really
Yep.
brings you to another world. So takeaways from today.
Um stress is very daunting, but manageable once you know yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that we all struggle with stress. There is not one person, when we talk about, when I was doing a survey last week to ask women what they struggle with the most. And my first question was, do you struggle with self-doubt? And about 85% of people who responded said yes. Yes, they struggle with self-doubt. And that's pretty on par with what, national surveys have shown. But when you talk about stress, there's no way that 100% of people wouldn't respond. I would say 100% of adults, like, let's not talk about children, but 100% of adults would respond. They would respond, yes, we all have stress, right? I mean,
no one's life is truly perfect.
Well, there is no such thing as perfection, but
exactly
the stress of just everyday life, forget the big things. Like, the big things are a whole nother story, but the everyday life of like trudging through and getting it done, sometimes it can be incredibly stressful. And
I completely agree.
Yeah. And I think, takeaways for me are really that focus on yourself, see what you need. And if you see someone struggling, ask them what you can help them with. So understanding
Don't
what
assume what they would want, though.
Yes, exactly.
It's really important.
And I was going to say, going back to what you said before, that just, helping someone without knowing what they need might not be helping them. So it's that asking the question of, how can I help you? How can I best serve you? What can I do for you? You look really stressed. And you have to be honest as a person to say, this is exactly what I need, instead of saying, oh, I'm good. I don't need anything. Because that's our typical response, right? How are you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm great. Really? Are you great? No, you're not great. You're really stressed. So
probably not.
Yes. So what is, most people say they're fine, right?
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I always say I'm okay.
Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's what FINE stands for. So when someone says they're fine, then you ask, how can I help you? Like, how specifically can I help you? Yeah.
That's good.
You hadn't heard that before?
No, I haven't, but I like that.
Yeah. Remind yourself of that when someone says, how are you doing? I'm fine. It tells me you're not fine. And I think like I'm big on that. When someone asks me how I'm doing, I've realized these days that I'm going to answer honestly. Like, if I'm having a great day, I'll tell you I'm having a great day. But if I'm having a crap day, I'm going to say, I'm having the worst day. Let me tell you what I just did. I just totally pulled out my back, and like the dog just vomited on the floor, and like, and I'm just going to say it.
To complete strangers, I've started doing that. It's very freeing.
Yeah. And if you ask me, I'm assuming you really want to know. So that's what I do. Okay. Tell me what your calendar says.
It's a quote by Dale Carnegie. Don't know who that is. Assuming. Okay.
Yeah. You should read.
Thanks. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Also, just like to bounce that back to stress, because, I like connecting the dots. At least for me, I can't sit home with my stress. I have to be active in doing something about it. Yeah.
And I think that was like the perfect quote for today. It's like, if you just sit there and like procrastinate and think about it, it is so hard to move forward. So get busy, 100%. Get busy doing something. It could be crocheting. It could
even
be
if it's just making your bed.
Yeah. Make your bed. I think I'm going to try 30 days of making my bed. Maybe I should start with 5. What do you think?
Yeah. Start with 5. Do a week of making your bed and let me know how you feel.
Okay. I'm going to do that. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do a week of?
I don't know. I do everything.
Drinking less caffeine.
Okay, yeah. But I am going to go get a peppermint mocha after this. So.
Okay. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please click like, share us with a friend, and follow us and download. And if you want to say something to us, we'd love to hear from you. Go check us out. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Daughter Dearest podcast with Simone and Olivia Canego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Daughter Dearest Podcast, at Simone Canego, and at Olivia Canego. Till next time.